Hello, welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuffs and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is going to be kind of an interesting video. It's more just about what I've been doing, trying to practice guitar, trying to get better at guitar, not really about gear or anything like that. But recently, I had what I can only describe as probably the largest aha moment that I've ever had while trying to learn how to play guitar, my biggest light bulb moment. There are several different milestones that I've had through the years as I've tried to learn how to play guitar. One of the first ones being when I was first trying to learn how to play, learning chords and trying to play and sing at the same time. I just couldn't do it, and I couldn't do it, and I couldn't do it, and then finally one day I could. And then I never had any issue with it after that. And it was this huge, like, eureka, I can do this. Well, if you know a little bit about my guitar history, I posted a couple videos on the channel. I'm not a good guitar player. I first started learning how to play guitar when I was around 15 or 16. I picked up a really old, really not good acoustic guitar that my dad had, tried to bang on that for a while. Then I got like a Squier Strat that I tried to play. Learned some Nirvana songs, some things like that. And then throughout the years, I would fiddle around and never really work too hard. I would learn chords and I would learn songs, I would strum, I'd have a good time, but I never really buckled down and tried to actually learn guitar theory or anything like that. And people would talk about, scales sometimes, or intervals, and all these different things, and I didn't really know what they were talking about. I knew, I guess, what a scale was. I knew it was a sequence of notes that you would play up and down the neck, but I didn't really know what they were for, what they did. I knew that they had some sort of connection with soloing and things like that, and improvising. But recently, as I've gotten more into playing guitar and deciding that I really actually want to get good at playing guitar, I thought, maybe I should try to look up some scales and figure some things out. And I started with a YouTube video where they were talking about pentatonic scales. And I was like, okay, I'll try to learn a pentatonic scale. And the first one I learned, it was the first position or the first pattern, the E minor pentatonic scale that just goes like this. Now, I'm sure to many of you that is the most obvious, most basic thing in the entire world. And to me, though, I had just never really tried to learn scales or even why I should try to learn scales. But I learned that first pattern of the E minor pentatonic scale, and suddenly the heavens opened. A choir started singing. There were trumpets blaring, and I realized, oh my God. Let me play you something really quick. Hopefully we're not going to get a copyright strike here. Now, does that sound familiar to you? It should. It's the opening of Long, Long, Long by George Harrison, The Beatles. Now, that's a song that I learned years ago, and I had no idea when I learned it that it was just that first pattern of the pentatonic scale. I'm assuming in that one, now I'm still learning about all this theory here, but if it's E minor, by the time you go down to the 3rd fret with a capo, I guess you're still using the pattern of an E minor pentatonic scale or a G major pentatonic scale, but it's just this. Of course, we don't have a capo on, so it's not quite the right key, but... It's exactly that scale. It's exactly that pattern. And it was just such an obvious thing, I guess, and I'm sure most of you who play guitar or have spent any time trying to learn how to play guitar, it's probably the most obvious thing in the world. But to me, someone who had never delved into scales, never really delved into theory at all, besides just learning chords, learning kind of where notes are on the neck and everything, it was just this crazy realization that line from that song is a scale. It's a pentatonic scale. It's that first pattern of the E minor pentatonic scale. And then once I realized that, I realized a lot of other things. Here's another song that could get us in trouble, so we'll be careful, but does that sound familiar? The opening of Wish You Were Here is again just a variation of that E minor or / G major pentatonic scale. I guess in this case it would be called the G major pentatonic scale because you're starting in G. That's sort of the root of the song. Again, my understanding of all this is not complete. I'm just learning about this theory stuff. So again, it's just these are the notes that are in this first pattern in the scale. So I realized this, I learned that, and I thought, what have I been missing for all these years? Why have I never tried to learn these scales? Isn't it something that is just integral to guitar playing? And I guess in a way, no. If you just want to play chords, if you just want to learn some songs, it doesn't really matter that much. But knowing that I can learn a song, know that, okay, the song is in G, and then just use notes from that scale and they will sound good. I just didn't realize that. I didn't know that that was a thing. I've learned songs and I've learned solos from songs, but I didn't realize that a lot of the soloing that people do are just these different scale patterns up and down the neck, obviously with some variations, and there's definitely more than just the E minor pentatonic scale. But it was just such a huge, crazy world of expression and understanding opening up to me. I was flabbergasted. And as soon as I learned that, I thought, well, what else can I do? And then I started just fiddling around, like, okay, I'm learning the E minor pentatonic scale. What can I do with that? So I realized, okay, I can make these little additions, these little hammer-ons, using the notes from that scale. I'm playing a song in G. Here is the G major pentatonic scale. I can use notes from that scale to embellish the chording, and it sounds great. Again, I know this is not groundbreaking. I know that almost everyone else out there who plays guitar understood this. But maybe you're like me, maybe you're someone who has just kind of fooled around with guitar, maybe you're just learning, and maybe you're wondering, is it important, is it necessary to learn these scales or to learn this theory? And I think that if you do, if you take the time, it's going to open up a huge world to you as far as guitar playing, learning songs, understanding what's going on in songs. I'm just beginning. I'm just starting out on this journey of learning guitar theory, but it's flabbergasting to me how much I've been missing out on. So once I decided that I needed to learn some scales and needed to learn some theory, I was trying to figure out where I should start. You know, which scales should I learn? In what order should I learn them? And just, you know, how do I go about learning guitar theory? Just decades of experience that I didn't have, that I should have been learning the whole time I was playing guitar. I looked around a while. I found a book called Fretboard Theory. Oh, just banged my guitar. Fretboard Theory. It is a complete guitar theory, including scales, chords, progressions, modes, song, application, and more. This is by Desi Cerna. I don't know how good of a book this is, but I started going through it, and you start out, it talks a little bit about, if we can get to it here, we get into notes on 6th string E, notes on 5th string A, and it just goes through talking about all the notes. And that's something that I kind of knew. Like, I realized if this is E, open E, if you hold down here, you have an F. If you go a whole step, you have a G. If you go another whole step, you have an A. You go another whole step, you have a B. Then you go a half step, you have a C. Another whole step, D, and so on and so on. So I knew the whole step, half step thing. I knew if I thought about it, I could find each note on every string, but I would have to sort of think about it. So he goes through all that, and then he got into the first scale. Well, he talks about sharps and flats, octaves. Obviously, I knew that too. The 12th fret is an octave, so open string is E. On the 12th fret is E as well. 12th fret is E as well. But then we get into chapter 2, and you start learning the pentatonic scale. And one of the first things he wants you to learn in this book is the 5 different patterns for the pentatonic scale, starting with the one I was just showing you, that E minor pentatonic scale. And this is where I've been. This is where I've been for several weeks now. He wants you to learn every single pattern. So there's 5 different ones. He wants you to learn them and then put them all together and play them all the way down the neck until you run out of frets, and then all the way back up the neck. Now, for someone like me who has never really done anything like this, never really played single notes that much, I would do a couple little embellishes or hammer-ons or things like that. I might learn a solo from a song that I was trying to learn, but never really developed much in the way of the coordination and mechanical ability to go up and down the neck, hitting notes. Also, alternate picking. I wasn't great at that, or being able to just find the string I wanted without staring at it. So these are all new things to me. They're all new things that I've had to start practicing now. And so I started out just like, okay, I'm gonna play. When I first started trying to do alternate picking, I used to anchor my pinky here under the strings, and I would just practice that. Then I realized I started to get cramps on my finger there or in my hand, and so I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to float. I need to float above the strings. And so then I started practicing that. And, you know, I'm still not amazing at it, but I got better. I got to the point where I could find the string, I could skip strings and hit it with alternate picking. And then I just started going through all the scales. And I actually set a metronome, and I would keep upping the tempo until I got to around 130 or so, 140. And I would have to go through the entire pattern in the first position, or the first pattern, 5 times without screwing it up. And that would be my practice of scales for the day. And then you go into the second position, which you start here. Then there's the third position, which starts here. And you just keep going all the way down the neck, and you learn those different patterns, and you learn the different positions. That's where I am right now. But there's a whole book. This is how much of the book I've done right here. This is how much there is left. And this is just one book on guitar theory, but this is going to go through all sorts of different scales and intervals and the cage system, all these things that I've never known about at all. I mean, I had little nibbles at it from the periphery. I would learn a few things here and there, but I had never put them together into a whole cohesive, unifying guitar theory. And that is what I'm about to learn. That is what I'm super excited about exploring now. And I just want to encourage you, if you are a dabbler with guitar, if you've never really buckled down and tried to learn theory, but you thought maybe it's something that you should do, maybe it's something that would be beneficial, I'm here to tell you, with the tiny little glimpse that I've gotten of it, I can already see how amazingly beneficial it is, and how many just positives there will be for my guitar playing. Just first of all, mechanically, like I'm learning how to go up and down the neck and hit single strings, and that's something that I never really focused on before. I'm learning how to, with my fretting hand, going up and down the neck, and then with my strumming hand, I'm able to hit individual strings now and do alternate picking. I'm just developing this dexterity that I never really developed. I could I could strum and I had a pretty good rhythm hand, but as far as like individual strings and just knowing where my fingers are on the neck and knowing where my pick is, which string I'm going to be hitting, I just never really developed that. And I'm developing so much more dexterity now. The whole world of guitar playing is opening up to me. I know there is so much more to learn, but I'm very excited. And if you think that you may benefit from this kind of thing as well, I would definitely look in to learning some scales, getting a book. I don't know if this is a great book. Fretboard Theory. It seems good, it seems interesting, it seems like it's teaching me things that I actually need to know, but just do some research and play around a little bit. If there's a song that you are trying to learn, maybe look into whether or not there's a solo, and if that solo is using a scale, and if so, what scale that is. And then through practical application, learning a song, and then learning the scale while learning that song, maybe you'll have the same aha moment I did, where you'll put 2 and 2 together and realize, okay, this could be super beneficial. Anyway, I just wanted a little update on the guitar playing. I know that some of you have seen me playing guitar on a couple videos, and I'm sure you've realized that I'm not great, but I'm working at it and I'm enjoying it. And I think the future is pretty bright as far as guitar playing goes. I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things. I'll see you later. Position 1.